In today's Business Matters, Starbucks announced job cuts today. CEO Brian Nichols said Starbucks will be laying off over 1,100 corporate workers as it tries to turn around its business. The company will also be eliminating several hundred open and unfilled positions. In addition, the coffee chain is going to eliminate about 30% of its food and beverage offerings over the next few months in order to streamline things. Some of Starbucks' Frappuccino blended drinks, its Royal English Breakfast Latte, and white hot chocolate will be among the items cut, as they're said to be too complex to make and are unpopular with customers. Meanwhile, Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway reported record operating earnings over the weekend. In his annual letter to investors, Buffett reported operating profit in 2024 rose 27% to $47.4 billion. Berkshire reported a full-year net income of $89 billion, which is down 7.5% from 2023. In the letter, Buffett wrote, quote, "Berkshire did better than I expected. For the fourth quarter, Berkshire Hathaway's cash ballooned to a new high of $334.2 billion, and that is nearly double the amount the company had in cash this time last year." A new battle between the world's two largest economies. President Trump issued new measures to restrict Chinese investment in critical American technology and infrastructure with a memorandum on Friday. And China dismissed Trump's move one day later, calling it, quote, "very unreasonable," adding to the order. The Committee on Foreign Investment in the U.S. is slated to curb Chinese funds in strategic U.S. sectors, including technology, critical infrastructure, healthcare, energy, and so on. It also said the Trump administration will consider expanding the range of the restrictions, targeting sensitive know-how like semiconductors, AI, quantum computing, and others. The order called out China for exploiting U.S. capital and ingenuity to fund and advance the Chinese military and other strategic assets, and that could pose threats to the U.S. national security. China's Commerce Ministry lashed out at the Trump administration over the restrictions and threatened to take necessary measures to fight back. And Elon Musk's Starlink satellite service has rivals, a Chinese state-backed company and another service financed by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. And the Chinese firm has reportedly signed a deal with Brazil, who is a frequent critic of Musk. NTD Shar Marshall has more details.
It seems that Elon Musk's Starlink satellite service is viewed by others as a pretty good idea. Rivals offering similar high-speed satellite internet service are pushing into space. Specifically, a Chinese state-backed rival and another service financed by Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. Shanghai-based SpaceSail signed an agreement in November to enter Brazil and announced it was in talks with over 30 countries. 2 months later, it began work in Kazakhstan, according to the Kazakh embassy in Beijing. The emergence of competition to Starlink has been welcomed by Brazil's government, which wants high-speed internet for communities in distant areas, but has had public disagreements with Musk over commerce and politics. Amazon's Project Kuiper also struck a deal last summer to provide satellite connectivity to Brazil and to several other Latin American countries. The advantage of using satellites to provide internet service is that they operate at low altitudes to transmit data extremely efficiently, providing high-speed connectivity for remote communities, seafaring vessels, and militaries at war. Starlink has been seen as a threat to the Chinese Communist Party-led government, which is both investing heavily in rivals and funding military research into tools that track satellite constellations. This is according to Chinese corporate filings and academic papers whose details have not been previously reported. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
And surging egg prices across the U.S. are starting to hit bakeries. The egg shortage is tied to the highly pathogenic bird flu virus, which infected flocks across the country last year. Some bakeries say they are now paying more than double the price from a year ago. Other bakeries say they might have to start using so-called egg replacers. Another factor making business tough for bakeries is the sky-high price of cocoa. And the current U.S. egg shortage has led businesses to look for supply beyond our borders. According to the American Farm Bureau Federation, Turkey is the only country the United States imports eggs from. Turkey is set to export 420 million eggs to the United States this year, which, according to the Egg Producers Central Union in Turkey, is the most ever. Experts warn that the increase in egg imports won't make much of a difference in America's egg shortage, especially if the bird flu continues to claim the lives of chickens and birds at its current pace, that is. The Bureau of Labor Statistics says the price of a dozen large grade A eggs recently hit an average of just under $5. Prices are expected to rise another 20% this year. A healthy funding round for Just Salads. Its founder Nick Kenner said this deal is going to take the successful regional chain and make it a national player in the fast casual field. Just Salad raised $200 million in funding from an investor group led by Wellington Management. The deal values the chain at about $1 billion. Just Salads was founded in 2006. It is known for its salads, wraps, warm bowls, soups, and smoothies. It operates about 100 restaurants, mostly on the East Coast. The company plans to set aside some of the capital to open new locations across the U.S. Good news for people who can't tolerate or just don't like dairy. It won't cost extra to get plant-based milk in your coffee at Dunkin anymore. The restaurant chain says the new pricing will start March 5th. A spokesperson said the policy change was guided by guest feedback, but there is likely a lot more to the decision. First, competitors like Starbucks, Dutch Bros, Tim Hortons, and Scooters already made the change. Also, a class action lawsuit accused Dunkin of discriminating against people with milk allergies or lactose intolerance. That suit says non-dairy alternatives don't cost Dunkin anymore, and it profited off charging customers more for it. A court sided with Dunkin last May, but the plaintiffs filed an amended complaint in December. That case is still pending. Fast food deals are taking a slice out of the pizza industry. Domino's Pizza reported a slight rise in quarterly same-store sales in the U.S., but it missed estimates based on data from LSEG. CEO Russell Weiner said the company will continue its promotions push. This includes emergency pizza and boost weeks for half of pizza's orders online. Domino's deals are competing with fast food chains and other value meals. The pizza company expects continued consumer pressure this year in the fast food space. On the other hand, Domino's saw some recovery in foreign markets, leading to international same-store growth topping expectations. Meanwhile, Apple has announced it plans to invest $500 billion in the U.S. over the next 4 years. Here's that story.
The money will fund a giant factory in Texas for artificial intelligence servers and 20,000 research and development jobs across the country in that time. It is also expected to cover spending on everything from purchases from U.S. suppliers to filming of television shows and movies for its Apple TV Plus service. Apple declined to say how much of the figure it was already planning to spend in the country. The move comes after media reports that Apple CEO Tim Cook met President Donald Trump last week. Many of Apple's products that are assembled in China could face 10% tariffs imposed by Trump earlier this month, though the iPhone maker had secured some waivers from China tariffs in the first Trump administration. Apple made a similar announcement about its U.S. spending plans in 2018 during the first Trump administration. Trump, in a Truth Social post, thanked Apple and Cook, saying the move reflected the company's faith in his administration. Shares of Apple were up fractionally in late morning trading.
Trump Media and Rumble are ready to rumble. A Brazilian judge over the video sharing platform. The two have filed an emergency motion in a U.S. court against Brazilian Supreme Court Justice Alexandre de Moraes. This is in response to Moraes suspending Rumble until it complies with court orders. This includes naming a legal representative for Brazil, a requirement for foreign companies to operate locally. Moraes' orders was in response to the firm suing him over accusations of illegal censorship. The emergency motion filed is an attempt to stop the orders by the judge that they argue violates American sovereignty, the U.S. Constitution, and U.S. laws. Now, despite the land being uninhabitable and the property destroyed, lots in Pacific Palisades and Aldina in the LA area are being sold after January's devastating wildfires. Some economists and environmentalists are pushing for a proactive approach to rebuilding. This includes local governments buying damaged properties to create a buffer zone in disaster-prone areas. It's unclear if the federal government will support such measures. One economist notes that building in disaster-prone areas could impact the availability and affordability of insurance across the state. A local real estate agent said buyers have not shown concern about future fire risk. Chinese medical devices are in hospitals all over the U.S., raising concerns over privacy and security. A back door was found in a popular device earlier this year. Here's the story.
Concerns arise over Chinese medical devices found at hospitals throughout the United States, popular because they're cheap, widely available, and useful, but may contain backdoors that could give access and control to China.
Why we allow any technology inside of our borders, inside of any free world borders, is beyond me.
Counterintelligence expert Casey Fleming says he believes all Chinese technology is weaponized to send your data to the Chinese Communist Party and weaken the United States.
The Chinese Communist Party has been at war with the U.S., has listed the U.S. as their primary enemy, and they're at war every day, every hour, against the United States.
Government agencies recently found a backdoor in a popular Chinese medical device, the Contact CMS 8000 patient monitor. It tracks a patient's vital signs like heart rate, blood pressure, and temperature. The agencies say the backdoor could allow Chinese actors to access and change data and even control the device. For example, it could be made to indicate the patient's heart is failing when it's not, leading to unnecessary treatment. The American Hospital Association estimates there may be thousands of these devices in the U.S. Contech, headquartered in Qinhuangdao, China, has not commented.
And Lester Holt is stepping down as anchor of NBC Nightly News. In a memo to staffers today, Holt said he'll continue to host Dateline NBC, the network's primetime news magazine, full-time. Holt will leave the newscast this summer. He was elevated to the job in 2015 and became the first African-American solo anchor of a weekday network nightly newscast. NBC did not immediately name Holt's successor, but Holt's frequent fill-in host, Tom Yamas, is in line for the post. The U.S. Postal Service will soon honor a legendary entertainer with her own stamp. Betty White died more than 3 years ago, just weeks shy of her 100th birthday. The Postal Service will release the stamp next month honoring the late actress and comedian. The Betty White tribute will be a new forever stamp. These stamps never expire and currently sell for 73 cents each. The Postal Service will host a special event on March 27th to unveil the new stamp at the Los Angeles Zoo and Botanical Gardens, where White was a trustee, benefactor, and volunteer. White was a staunch animal rights activist. Okay, on to Wall Street. The Nasdaq Composite closed down more than 1% today, and that's with big technology stocks creating the biggest drag. And this coming as investors worried about demand for technology supporting artificial intelligence. And this is while they waited for results from market heavyweight Nvidia. S&P 500 closed slightly lower while the Dow was close to unchanged. Demand for Nvidia's pricey AI chips will be in focus when it reports results on Wednesday. And investors have been questioning hefty spending on the technology since low-cost AI models from China's DeepSeek rattled the industry in January. And that's all today on Business Matters.